I'm Gina O'Brien, and I'm executive producer and the screenwriter for Fangirl.
I'm Paul Jarrett, and I'm the director of Fangirl.
The story was inspired loosely by my daughter. She's a teenager. She is now an older teenager. I started writing this when she was about 14, 15. And so she inspired me, she and her friends. I would listen to them, and a lot of the stuff they said was kind of funny, so I'd write it down. And now I'm apologizing.
Darvan has no filter. Normally I wouldn't know someone like Darvan, given that I'm a sophomore and he's like 20 years old or something. I don't even know. But he's missing several classes required to graduate, so we're together at least 3 times a day.
Yo, Telulah Farrow. Who you talking to, Telulah Farrow? Okay.
I can't believe I'm going to say this into a microphone on camera, but I'm 52. No, I am, and but I'm very immature, and a lot of the storyline, if I had trouble with the wording, I would write what I wanted, and I would run to my daughter and say, could you please translate into your people's language what I mean to say? So she was very helpful, but there's so much that you hear on television and online that it's kind of easy to pick that stuff up.
I got involved because Gina and I had worked together on her last script, which she wrote, and I was a producer on, called Once More with Feeling. And so when Gina had written this new script, we all got together, and I was able to read it, and I loved it, and wanted to come on as producer, and also wanted to know if I could direct it, and they were super excited, and we all sort of moved forward as a team from there, which was great, getting people back together who had worked together before. It was really, it was nice to sort of have that team, experience. I've been a producer for a number of years in independent film. This is my first film as a director. So yes, this is the youngest cast I've ever worked with. But yeah, we just had so many speaking roles and so many. It's okay, which is great. And our 2 lead actors, Kiernan Shipka and Hayward, were our teenagers. They're both 15 and were 14 when we were shooting it. And that was great, because they would come back to us and be like, we love this script because these characters talk like us. They talk like my friends. And that was so, it was so hard not to get excited by their excitement for the dialogue. And because she nailed it. And it's the 2 things that pace us out for this movie are, we have great and really funny dialogue that kind of works if it's sort of fast and sometimes deadpan, but also so much great music. There's the music both of All Time Low and all these other great pop punk bands. And so what we have is these funny scenes, sometimes, either whether it's dialogue or action or whatever, and then we get to have a lull with almost like a music video break. And so that sort of balance is really what helps with the pace.
Right. I agree. And also these teenage girls, if you sit in a room with them for a little while, you kind of want to kill yourself, because they're talking and then there's silence because they're on their phone. But really, no offense to teenage girls out there, I was once one of them, but I think that also has to do with the pacing, kind of like real life.
Phones and technology are so much a part of our lives, but as well, especially youth right now. And one thing that was so funny was we're doing a scene, there's lots of background, and Gina and I would be talking. She's like, well, no one's talking in the background. And I'm like, what? And she's like, yeah, they're all on their phones. It has to be really quiet. And that kind of and it's so funny, and it becomes a funny part of the movie of these kids they'll sit right next to each other and not talk, and then they'll have these crazy energetic moments. Yeah. So finding that reality and getting to play with it was a lot of fun in making this film.
Absolutely. The film is loosely based on her. She does love film, and she also loves pop punk music. So when I was unsure of something, I would run to her and I would say, would that be said that way, or what do you think about what that kid's wearing? Would a fangirl be wearing that? Or so there's a lot of that. She was very helpful. In fact, she should be sitting here, not me.
Well, and Sam, and so, Gina's daughter is an associate producer on the movie. She helped in a lot of, she's very interested in making movies as well. And that was great for me, like, to be working with a young person who had this sort of, not only passion for telling stories and being, funny and all that, but also had, early, when she was a little bit younger, a huge passion for this band. And so for me, working with all other creatives on the team, the DP, the production designer, the costume designers, it's like, well, you not only need to meet with me, but you need to talk to Gina and her daughter, because she's our creative consultant, our researcher in chief of this world, and it was like super important to get it right.
Exactly. We actually raided her bedroom for some stuff for Tallulah's bedroom.
I remember that was how we showing the production designers her bedroom and being like, this is what we need it to look like. It's like, this is so perfect.
Yeah.
And that's what it's in the movie.
Right, exactly. You know what? There also has not really been a movie. Maybe I'm misspeaking here, but a movie about fangirls, about this audience. It's just they exist. They are so passionate.
I'll tell you what, Darvan. There are two things I love in this world, and making films is one of them.
Am I the other?
I have to be in that film festival, Darvan. Yeah. And with you as my partner, I have half the chance of making it. Because some people care about stuff, Darvan. You see Josh over there? He's wearing Claire Flare. Of course, they'll win. She's friends with our very own teacher, and Obey Girl over there has a better
about fangirls. I certainly don't think I'd ever used that term prior to reading the script. And when we got together, Gina was like, you need to know who Tavi Gevinson is, who I'd never heard of, but she's amazing. And I remember hearing like a speech she'd given, and her
talk,
this talk, and she says, caring about someone else's art so much that you want to make something yourself, write down their lyrics, make a painting, whatever, that's a creative art form too. Being a fan, fangirling, the gerund, the word she invents or whatever, is an art form. And I'd never thought of it like that, and it made me so excited. And I think that's what you nailed in your script, is like that this, being so passionate about something that you have to make something is an art form that we are just now learning about.
I try not to picture specific actors when I'm writing until I'm at least done with the first draft. But, Kiernan, she had the look and the style, and, she would be perfect for the role. So I really hoped that she would be available, and we had fantastic casting agents in New York, Patricia DeSerto and Christine Cromer, and they did a great job. They went through, I think Paul said earlier, it's 35 speaking parts, so they had a lot of work to do, and but it was really fun. Everybody was very receptive to the script, and that we got them.
Cinematography, the person who shot it was Brian Burgoyne. He's someone who I had worked with a decade ago. He shot my student film when I was at NYU. And we've remained close and many times tried to get a feature together that we could work together on, but it just hadn't happened. So in a lot of ways, that was sort of the story of making this movie, was getting people together to do something creative who you'd known for a while but hadn't had the opportunity to. And Brian and I, we were all really inspired by movies like Mean Girls and Fast Times at Ridgemont High. And the movie visually that Brian and I got really excited about was Ferris Bueller. Like just the wideness that like helped comedy, and the way that like we see all these kids in this environment and they sort of own it, and we're like with them and at their eye level. That really like inspired me a lot. We definitely wanted to move with them a lot too. Like that was important to us, that they're moving through this world, and she's sort of, especially in the beginning, Tallulah's kind of a narrator because she's so into it. She knows all the different groups, and that feels like in some ways like a pop punk music video. It's sort of dynamic and movement, and that was important to us as well, to sort of nail that world of the fangirl.
We see a lot of films, and to me, I don't think there are that many films that you walk away just with this happy feeling, It really, I think, does that at the end. And it's a typical day for a girl. Well, it some stuff happens, but it's you know, a typical day in the life that turns into this wonderful day, this wonderful moment. So I think that's it. I would love it to be successful, of course, and I'd love to see it in theaters. I do understand that the way teenage kids are watching movies these days, unless it's a big CG, you know, film, they're not going to the theaters as much, and I probably shouldn't have said that at all, but they do mostly stream movies, and I think maybe a deal with, all platforms, that would be ideal.